Hello and welcome to another episode of a Wicked Parley. I am your host, Justin, and this is my fellow co-host, Rose.
Hello! Sorry for the delay start.
Yeah, shame on you. Bad for you for the delay.
Don't make me hit you.
Yeah, I don't think you hit me. That's not a thing.
Not right now.
No, it's not a thing.
Sure.
No, it's just not a thing.
Uh-huh.
I'm much too powerful.
Uh-huh.
Much too powerful.
Okay.
I am mighty. Hear me roar. Anyways,
You mean little roar?
yeah, you little roar. Yeah,
Little
yeah.
roar.
Rawr. Yeah, that sort of situation. Okay, all right, enough being silly. So, what are we talking about tonight?
We're talking about good health and how it affects one's lifestyle, which I desperately need.
Well, hopefully I can give some good feedback and be informative in this regard.
Yeah.
So,
I know a couple of things, not everything.
I mean, like, so when it comes to this kind of thing, what's the most well-versed part of the subject that you're aware of?
Just, okay, some very, very bare bones basics. Hi, host. Some very bare bones basic
Hello,
about
host.
exercising is good for you, making sure to eat healthy, don't work yourself too hard, try not to stress too much, those sorts of things. But I don't know the details and like the more complex bits of it.
Okay, all right. Well, hopefully we can tackle a few of those complex bits. So, when it comes down to this particular subject, this is one that I've researched quite a bit. I'm familiar with, and I look forward to sharing my knowledge. So, with that said, I just want to say, hey everybody, thank you very much for the support. I continue to see people watching and subscribing to the channel, which I much appreciated. Continue, talking about the show. Hopefully, we can get a bigger following, and more people can be subscribed. More people can get talked about, and hopefully, we're going to have some interesting guests coming up in the next couple of weeks. So look forward to that. And with that being said, let's jump right into the first question or the video, whichever you wish to put up.
Yeah, so let's go here. What physical or mental steps could people make to achieve a healthier lifestyle? I think I have a picture here somewhere. Here we go. Let's see. Oh. I mean, I guess that... Okay, let me...
Yeah. That guy's very happy.
Yeah, very, very happy. And he looks like he's jogging back from a pier. So.
Yeah, so he's either running towards something or from something. So, hey. Good for this guy. What physical or mental steps could you make to achieve a healthy lifestyle? I think there's a typo there.
Could people make to? Let me fix that real quick. Oops.
Well, let's just tackle it. Let's just tackle each step of it, right? So let's take a look at the physical step first, because I think that's something that everyone can easily associate with. So the first thing is that you take a look and see how active are you. All right, there's a lot of people who work a pretty busy job, and so they often get into a pattern of wake up, eat, maybe clean a little bit, then go to work, then come home, eat again, and then go to sleep, or something to that effect. So one of the first things you could do is maybe adjust some of the things you do in your daily life to allow yourself for a walk. I'd say like a good walk for like 30-40 minutes. It doesn't have to be anything special. It could be just around your neighborhood. But that simple act changes the way in which you feel and you approach circumstances and situations, which I think is one of the first and early steps you can make from a physical perspective to achieve a healthier lifestyle. The second step, I think, from there is once you've gotten to a point where you're comfortable and you've gotten into a routine where you can do a kind of a walk, the next step kind of makes sense to perhaps explore other physical activities. Maybe join a gym or get into a league of some sort. So like if you're into certain sports, like a basketball or baseball league for adults, or if you're a teenager, hey, look into that. And if all else fails, maybe get some friends together and just go do something physical, like a hike, or something to that effect. Could really be a big way of moving towards your physical goal. And then, if at that point you've done those two things and you feel very comfortable with that, and you feel like I need more, then perhaps at that point you consider either hiring a personal trainer or doing some extensive research in regards to physical health and train yourself. That's the physical side of things, which is
Question.
yes, sure. What's up?
What if so? There are of course people who have blocky time schedules where they can find that block for such a long period of time to do such a thing.
hmm
What about for ones with more chaotic time schedules where they could maybe only spare like 10, 20 minutes at a time?
Okay, well, I would say that depends upon the person's physical state, but I definitely think that if you have like even 2, 3 minutes, in between something, you could do a quick little exercise in 2 or 3 minutes. And if you did that enough times throughout the day to add up to 30 to 40 minutes, then there you go. I mean, if you do something, for 4 minutes, let's say you only have 10-minute intervals or something like that, right? And you do something for 4 minutes 10 times, well, there you go. You've already hit the maximum for the basic first level of the step. So I don't think that, I think a walk is lethargic in some ways, and so it does more for you than a lot of people may realize. There's a reason why parks are kind of have been pushed by our society and culture because there's a value inherently in a park because it's being exposed to nature, but it's also giving you the ability to kind of have that like almost like a emotional therapy as you're going through it. It gives you time to process your day. It gives you time to think about your goals and make plans. And it's a neutral setting for a lot of different things. So I encourage a walk more so than most other things just because it's low impact, and because it's low impact, any person who can walk can do it. Um,
Mhm,
but I definitely can understand with the chaotic schedule not being able to do that. Then the next
mhm.
best thing is doing a series of small little workouts, which kind of key into the mental steps.
Okay. Yeah, just wanted to clarify for those who don't feel like they can spare that much time for a long walk and stuff like that.
Sure, sure. And here's the thing too. I think that's important to understand.
Mm.
Um, when you plan out your day, you know, some people say that they have no ability to plan their day. I feel like the people who do that perhaps should consider trying to look into their schedule and seeing if there's areas that are negotiable, because I think that making sure that your physical and mental health are right should be a priority. Because if you're physically and mentally healthy, then you're more likely to succeed in other parts of your life. And I think that's really one of the main goals outside of just being able to maintain, is being able to maintain and grow.
Mhm.
So is there more questions about the physical, or would you like me to go on to the mental steps of
Uh,
this question?
I think I'm okay with the physical. Time for the mental stuff.
Okay. All right. So the first thing when it comes to any sort of mental step that it must be understood is that you have to recognize that there's some area that you need to grow in. Now, a lot of people associate mental steps or make a quick automatic you have a problem if you're even considering this train of thought. Um, I'd like to try to disprove that right now by simply saying stuff like that's not true. Anything that you want to achieve, you have to plan out. This requires cognitive ability. This means this is a mental step. So if you follow that train of thought, then typically speaking, you should have some modicum of success when it comes to the ventures in your life. And so when it comes to healthier lifestyle specifically, you have to go make a commitment to yourself. You have to go, okay, I want to do this. And if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this the way I need to. And you have to kind of like accept that. And I know that sounds weird, but a lot of people, they don't want that. When it comes to exercise, there's a lot of people in the world that just don't want to do it, like at all. It's like pulling teeth. You gotta force somebody really hard into it. Can you agree to that? Like, would you say that's pretty true?
For for a couple of people, it definitely can be.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of my friend group is like that, but I'm sure they exist.
Okay. All
Somewhere.
right. We're not pointing fingers, but you know who you are. But when it comes to making a healthier lifestyle, you have to accept that, hey, I gotta do this, this, and this in order to do that. And when I say this, this, and this, what I'm saying is you need to be able to understand that you need to do this. You need to be able and willing to take on the necessary steps to act out those particular needs. And at the same time, you also have to be willing to adjust certain parts of your life, like your diet. I would say that being able to manage your time and being able to distinguish what's good for you dietarily are all equally important steps to the physicality. But those things are intertwined, because if you eat good food and you are physically feeling good, then mentally you're going to feel more positive and you're going to be more ready to take on the challenges of life and of the day. And so when you go to make these steps mentally, you're going to already be in a better place. So the second step is making sure you get your diet right. The next step from diet. So now you've made this commitment in your head. You've gone, I'm going to do this. I'm following through. You've set aside some time to address maybe some of your dietary needs. Now, I'm not saying you can't have pizza, you can't have brownies, you can't have cakes, none of that stuff. I don't think that cold turkey cutting anything is a good thing. But what I would say is this. It's all about learning about moderation. Like, I would say, allow yourself a cheat day. I mean, hell, The Rock, right? Okay? 6 days out of the week, he is on a strict diet of basically chicken, rice, and veggies for the most part. I've seen some exceptions, but, like, there's that. But then he has one day where he just eats whatever the fuck he wants. All right? And I mean, like, hey, seriously, like, if The Rock can do that, all right, and you can kill it in the gym, you got a good fortitude when it comes to your ability to mentally go, I'm going to do this, guaranteed, every day. I'm going to wake up at this time, thereabouts. I'm going to do this activity. Then, hey, you pick a day in the week. You're like, yeah, that's the day I'm cheating. All right, here we go. Bring it on, cakes and brownies. I'm looking at you right now. Yeah.
I'd be very sad if I could not have chocolate cake or tres leches cake.
Oh my God, no, that's bad. That'd be bad. I'll be honest, the inner fat kid is coming out right now. It's like, no, come on. So, what are your thoughts when it comes to those particular steps that I've laid out so far?
Definitely with just starting in a good, let's see. There was a bit of that, so let's see. What happened with the cappuccino? Okay, we're fine.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's just like, I think my headphones are just dead. Anyway.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they do that, like, every other day. Let's see. So dieting, making sure you start off with just small steps.
Mm-hmm.
Small steps. Yeah.
While she's thinking, for you out there who want to send donations of headphones to the lovely Rose, we were accepting donations. I'm joking, but I'm not joking. I mean, take it what you want.
Any Hazel. So yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement with everything you've lined out so far.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
Like what host says in the chat, always start small. If someone needs to work on both physical and mental health, start with the physical, start small. And then for the mental bit of it, he puts it pretty funnily in my opinion. No think, do. Screw the nastiness in the mind. Reject modernity and return to monkey. Okay, I don't get that last reference, but that's just because I'm an uncultured swine, so.
Okay, so what I would say in regards to that particular statement is that I think physical and mental steps are tied intimately together. I think they happen simultaneously. And I think that goes for every step that's involved. If you're working on your physique, right? Let's say that you're, unhappy with your appearance and you're trying to be more active, perhaps in an idea to, work towards that goal, right? And at the same time, you're also perhaps battling some sort of mild depression, perhaps. Then these two things are going to be worked on simultaneously. Because as you start to do better physically, your mood is going to improve. And with that improved mood, the depression symptoms aren't going to go away. But the impact of those negative emotions that are felt will start to diminish a little. And so instead of having a lot on your plate emotionally, you'll start to see that plate start to die down just a little bit. Not a lot, not like, oh my god, like this is the fix all to everything, but it'll improve your overall mood. And so like that's what I think. So like when it comes to all these steps, like you're kind of like you're building yourself up, and while you're building yourself up, there's a part of you mentally that's going to see that success and feel better about yourself, and it's going to cause you to kind of lift you up on both things. And so it starts to fortify the good elements of your psyche, and it's going to start to diminish some of the negative bits that aren't as important.
Do we want to go ahead and move on to the next question?
Are there any questions in the chat?
Not at the moment.
Okay, well then I'm fine with going to question 2.
Alright, let's move you, move you.
Look at that, the supportive look.
Oh! I didn't realize that's where the question was going to pop up, but alright then.
Hey, alright.
Let's see. What things can people do to encourage a healthier lifestyle in others?
Okay, I want to know what you think about this first.
What I think?
Yeah, what do you think about this question?
I know on secondhand accounts that it's a lot easier for people to be healthier if other people are doing it with them. My friends exercise with each other, they call each other, set up exercising times for when they want to hang out. And it also just makes a good hangout opportunity because you can walk and exercise while depending on the exercise.
Sure.
There's some exercises where I just will not speak because I can't. I'm too focused breathing and not dying. But it's much easier to be healthier if you've got encouragement, and if people are willing to not only join you or just support you in general. Well, yeah, it certainly doesn't help if you're demeaning about it or like sarcastic about their success or anything like that, because it just, honestly, I believe it would just discourage them from continuing to try because, yeah, they're doing this for themselves, but everybody could use a little encouragement to be healthier.
Sure, I understand that. Okay, I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say about this, and I'm gonna say this with a first with a caveat. I do not want to discourage individuals who do not have a healthy, encouraging environment from wanting to pursue a healthier lifestyle. So what I'm going to say, I do not want people to read into and think, oh, because I don't have other people who are encouraging me, that I just may as well not do it. Because I think that at your core, you are in charge of you. You have to make that decision, that mental decision, as we discussed in question 1. You have to make that as your goal. And so if you don't do that, then you're going to be at the whims of whomever may or may not support and encourage you. So I just want that to be very, very well understood before I say what I'm about to say, because So, all right. I think absolutely encouragement is really critical to ensuring that someone sticks to the path. Because if you do something challenging on your own, it is very easy to not have to hold yourself accountable when you fall off. It is an entirely different story when other people are there supporting you, and you have that like notion in your head of, oh yeah, if I do this, I'll be okay, but how will I be able to look at this person in the morning? Or when I see my friend, they're gonna go, oh yeah, no, this guy definitely had definitely fell off the wagon here. Okay. And you may not want to deal with that particular emotion. I wouldn't call it ridicule, but I would say like a type of reinforcement, I would say. I'm not going to go into it whether it be positive or negative because I think it's perspective based. So, but yeah, that's my thought process on it. Because like definitely, for the people who don't know, I am a heavier set individual, but I used to be a lot heavier, and it was through the help of my family and my friends that I was able to get kind of on the path to getting healthier, and I'm still on that path, but I'm definitely doing things a lot better than I used to. And I definitely think that the support system that I have, it goes a long way in helping me towards those particular goals. So when I see this question, I very much can identify with with its benefits because it's something that I've received personally. But I also can see the fault for like when my support system is very busy. I can see where it's like the accountability sometimes just that you would normally have isn't there anymore, and so it starts to become kind of up to you internally. Can you hold on to this, and can you, really stick it to with the goal, or is it just going to fall off? So, do we have any questions in the chat?
No, just another comment on question 1.
Okay, what's the comment?
When you mentioned that the physical and mental steps are intertwined, host agreed, yes, they are tied together. It's easier to start on the physical and build momentum.
I think that's somewhat true depending on the person. I definitely think that it can be true, but I don't think that it's 100% because I don't think that everybody fits in the same box. So I don't think everything that you could say about one person is equivalent to another. I think that there's a lot of comorbidities between individuals, and so it sometimes blurs whether or not this is an accurate statement or not. But from my own personal experience, I definitely would agree with that particular notion, but I can think of examples that would be against it.
Hey Kyle, let's see.
Hello Kyle. Welcome to the show.
Nothing else. Welcome. Nothing else on question 2 at the moment.
Okay. All right. Let's
Shall
move
we
on then. Yeah, let's move on.
Right. 1, 2. Oh, here's the picture.
This is me right here, 100%. I'm
Let me
one.
move it, because oops, wrong one. I want to see the bear. I want to see the bear. Bear.
Yeah, 100%. This is me right here. Oh man, if it's hot like today, it's like 90 degrees. Oh yeah, I'm all laid out. All right, it's like all right, let's just lay here for a bit.
All right. Question number 3. What might make things difficult, whether emotionally, physically, or mentally, about achieving a healthier lifestyle?
Okay, so the obvious one, if you think about it, is probably if a person's going through a mental struggle. This can definitely trigger emotional responses. Sometimes some people eat their feelings is a common one that you probably would have heard before. Another thing that can happen too is that a person can feel very negatively about themselves and then just start starving themselves. And that can be physically linked to their emotional state as well as obviously their mental state. And so it changes the way in which they approach a healthier lifestyle. So dependent upon what adversities that person's going through and trying to overcome, it can dramatically affect the way in which they can approach achieving a healthier lifestyle. And so like I would say, like let's say you take a person like myself, which I'm fine with kind of putting this out there. I definitely kind of was in a relationship that was not great in the past, and it led to me kind of eating my feelings. And because of this, I gained a bunch of weight. And that had a huge portion of emotional element. It had a huge portion physically and obviously mentally. And so it made it very difficult to achieve a healthy lifestyle because I was constantly having to deal with these particular types of emotions while not handling it appropriately. And so whether a person, is in a good state at the beginning of some point, or if they're in a bad state, typically, people fall all over the place when it comes to the endpoints of things. And so I think that when addressing a particular issue, it's really critical that you understand what your goals are. And so if you are focused on those goals, then you're more likely to be successful in achieving a healthy lifestyle, even though you might have to overcome a lot of emotional issues, physical problems, and even some mental issues as well. What are your thoughts on this question?
Let's see. On the more emotional side of things, I know if people, well, at least what I believe, if people tend to get discouraged enough, like you mentioned earlier, they might just stop trying.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't have a good support system, sometimes it's hard to come back from that. But like you also mentioned, it's up to them to determine like what's their final goal. Are they going to do this to help themselves or not?
Sure.
Physically, again, depends on the situation. It could be you're attempting, but things are not going your way. It's not all. In most cases, it's not always going to work immediately. Like we've mentioned before, start slow, keep working at it. You'll see the results over time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a what. It's not just a you do this for 1 week and you're immediately going to see results, which is for some people discouraging because they'd like to see the results. They'd like to know they're doing well right off the bat, but it's not always going to be the case. So just keep going at it. Just keep working at it. It's a slow going process for a lot of people, so don't be too discouraged about it. And then for the mental state, yeah, like you mentioned before, if they're already in a more, I don't think you called it negative. Did you call it negative? I don't think you did. But just depending on the mental state that you start in, it could make it more or less difficult to get toward that lifestyle, but having goals kind of helps with it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the goals. 100%.
Yeah. Goals are easy to do because it doesn't matter how you get there as long as you get there eventually, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a notion that some people want to give themselves some sort of like time limit, like, oh, if I don't make it to this particular point, then I guess I'm just going to throw in the towel. That's defeatist thinking. And when it comes down to those particular types of things, it means that you haven't really settled some sort of internal conflict. I apologize. I bit my tongue there. So sorry. My gosh. But yeah, there's an internal conflict. I almost bit it again. And those particular things are going to continue to persist throughout a particular issue. And if you start to work on yourself, but you don't try to take on those particular problems and try to address them and solve them, then you run into the problem of inevitably these problems are going to reoccur, and so you're going to continually have to face them. And if you just try to push them off, then how are you ever going to move past them to attempt to conquer them in any way, shape, or form, which ultimately was going to block you from achieving that healthy lifestyle you want in the first place? So I find like those type of issues problematic, especially when someone's not really willing to deal with them.
We've got a comment in the chat that kind of is involved with this question. I think it belongs to this question.
Okay.
It's from Kyle. I think that it's not a question, it's a comment. I think that mental health is the biggest obstacle, and they gave an example of, we have an epidemic of binge eating disorder in this country.
Okay. I actually don't necessarily agree with that.
No?
No. There's a reason why America is obese, and I think that it's very easy to point to the people who are obese and say that they have a particular problem. But my honest opinion is that I think that the things that are involved in this are very dynamic. I believe that we're at least on 4 or 5 fronts are dealing with this, and I think that while binge eating disorder is definitely a problem, and is definitely one of the issues that is being represented in the certain populations, I do not believe it's even a quarter of the actual reason behind what's going on with the obesity epidemic in Western culture, not just America. America has it pretty bad, but I mean, if you see some pictures of some people, say like in the UK, yeah, they're pretty big too. So that's definitely a thing. My thought process when it comes down to it is that, at least in the United States, we have a big issue when it comes to portion size. We also have a big issue with the amount of sugar that's inside of all of our foods. I mean, like, if you think about it, why on earth would a salad from McDonald's have more calories than a Big Mac? Like, that shouldn't really be the case, but it is. Yeah, if you look up the actual calories of a Big Mac and you compare them with their salad, the salad has more calories. And that's because there's sugar inside the lettuce. The lettuce is soaked in sugar to keep it fresh.
Okay then.
Yeah, it's just like there are issues with every single step of the way in which Americans approach their diet that it's very problematic. And I think that that is more than half of the problem right there. I also think that because Americans drive to mostly to whenever it comes to going anywhere, they don't really walk that much. It's a lot easier in American culture to be sedentary than it is in almost any other part of the world. Because most parts of the world, you have to walk to most of the places you go. You can't just get in a car and drive somewhere. So I think that these particular elements, when you combine them all, definitely are some of the reasoning. And if you think back to the way Americans looked in the 1950s, I know that was, a long time ago, but this was before you started having massive sugar, doses in all of the foods. Americans it wasn't that common to be obese. I mean, if you think back to like newsreels and pictures of crowds, how many fat people were in those pictures? Not that many. So that's where I kind of think that the issues when it comes to that particular part really go, because we're told all the time by our athletes, eat this sugar cereal, it's good for you. Have a Sprite. I don't know how many times I've seen commercials and ads for things like this that are just obviously terrible for you, but yet they're commercialized and they're supported by all these different companies. And I think that right there is the real problem, is that the commercialization of the Western diet and the choices of what's put in those particular foods are all adding to a serious problem that's being affected by every person that adopts a Western culture. I mean, there are individuals in the Middle East, who are having McDonald's and Subway. It'd be interesting to see what their culture looks like in a couple of, look down the road 10, 20 years, see if you start seeing obesity. It wouldn't surprise me. So, and that's my thoughts on that. Do you kind of have a similar thought process, or what's your viewpoint on that?
It's definitely easy to point fingers and blame it on some type of a disorder. Some people just consider that easier, but I definitely do agree that it's probably it's not the only reasoning, and rather than, it's definitely a reason, just not the main reason. So if we want to solve it, it's just a matter of taking a look at everything, figuring out the overall reasons for what's causing it, and then trying to work through it and being careful about how you actually go through solving it, because solving one issue might just cause like 5 more depending on what you do.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. Like, I think that when you try to solve one problem using one thing, it typically opens the door to creating a series of other issues that are unexpected, that are usually linked to the solution.
There is right now.
Yeah.
It's probably one of those wicked problems that we could potentially maybe look into, maybe, if we get enough people who want to see that as an episode. What are you doing?
I'm making a note.
Because of the whole wicked problem?
I mean, it is a wicked problem, and I do like a good subject, and I'm somewhat versed in this already, and I'm sure I can find some more evidence to support this, so
Sure.
Why not?
Alright. How about I go ahead and move on to the next one?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, so this time I'm gonna get rid of the image because the
next but I like the bear.
bear. Okay, fine. I'll keep the bear, but when
I'm secretly a bear, just so everybody knows. Like, I'm actually... See? You got rid of the bear.
I got rid of the bear.
Okay, alright, thank you. Alright, see, look at that. Yeah.
Alright, let's move... Nope, the wrong one. Let's move this thing here, shall we?
We're learning. Give us some credit. We got a bear. Yeah.
We got a bear.
Yeah, that's what matters.
Yeah, host, a salad has more calories than a burger at that place. Not that surprising, but dang.
Yeah.
Alright, moving on. Number 4, how can one's mental attitude affect their attitude toward life or their own heads?
There are a lot of research on this. Oh yeah, there's this book, I forgot the name of the author, but it's called Grit. And it kind of like, the book discusses a series of stories about people who are successful and the types of things that they kind of had to deal with, some of the adversity they had to get through.
Yes. Is it Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance?
Yes.
It's a book by Angela Duckworth.
Ah, yes. Angela Duckworth, yes. That sounds correct. I have the book. I read it. I enjoyed it very much. But yeah, I mean, it kind of shows the different kinds of things that happen to an individual and the adversities they have to, overcome to be successful. So here's what I'm going to say when it comes to this particular question. I think it's actually really simple. I think if you are healthy and you are enjoying certain elements of your life, then you're going to come, when confronted with a particular problem or issue, you're going to come from it from a positive outlook. And more often than not, men typically are logical-based creatures. Like most men think from a logical construct. And so if you come from a logical construct and you're coming from a place of positivity, then you're more likely to find a solution that is not only efficient, but is the best possible outcome. And what typically happens is that when an individual does something successful, success builds on success. And so you get kind of like this runaway effect where immediately you start getting more and more success, and then that success makes you feel better. And if you're, some people who they would be best described as individuals that feel good whenever they make the world a better place. Those people become incredibly successful, and it allows that particular feeling and effect to transfer to other people, which tends to raise the overall group of individuals up. And that's how society, in my particular opinion, is progressed. When you have a strong, positive person that spreads that positivity to everyone else and brings everyone up. So I think that like when it comes to doing that kind of, having that particular frame of reference, it automatically means that any goal you set, any habit you have, is going to fall in line with that positive mental attitude and temperament, and it's just going to lead towards more and more success. That's my viewpoint on this question. What about you?
It's definitely a cyclical thing. If it works, it'll build into itself, such as what you said. If you've got a positive mental attitude, it causes you to do something that positively affects your life, makes you feel nice, makes you feel good, makes you feel empowered or invigorated, and you're going to keep doing that because it makes you feel that way. So it's definitely a cycle. If you've got a positive attitude, that leads into a positive action, that leads into a better lifestyle. It'll reinforce the positive attitude, which continually reinforces the cycle. And unfortunately, the same thing kind of runs true for the opposite, which is the negative side of things. And if something feels terrible, it kind of brings the mood down, which could make you feel worse, which kind of reinforces that. And sometimes that cycle will bring some people down into a depressive state sometimes, or potentially even worse. And it's one of those things that for those particular cycles, I'd say that's where friends and family and support and having something to break you out of that could to break the negative cycle and turn it into a positive cycle would be necessary, depending on how badly that negative cycle is affecting your life.
Interesting.
At least that's what I view it as, just like continuous cycles or loops types of things.
Well, I think I kind of want to say something about that.
Yeah.
I don't think that all negativity is cyclical. I don't think that that's necessarily true of all circumstances and situations.
Yeah.
I definitely think that someone whom is deeply affected and is in a very dark place, it isn't about, they're not going to be in a cycle. They're just feeling that negativity immensely. And yes, a person can pull a person out from there in some cases, but I think more often than not, individuals that find themselves in those particular spots have to pull themselves out. And it's because they have to believe that they're worth saving. And so when you have someone whom is in that particular circumstance, it's an internal struggle of belief, and they're seeking validity. And so if that validity comes from an outside source, that can help support their conclusion, but they have to draw that conclusion first.
Fair. It's just the whole, sometimes the negativity will feed into itself, and that's why I call it cyclical type of thing.
In some cases, you're right. I think that happens a lot with depression. There are people whom have small things impact in a negative way, and it kind of feeds into itself and then kind of keeps on going in a cycle. But I definitely think that there are some people who maybe experience PTSD and perhaps other potential diagnoses simultaneously, have a completely different response and outlook in regards to negativity. And so it's important to not try to fit everyone into the same box when it comes to that. And so I don't think you were trying to do that, but I just think it's important that it be said, because I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea.
Fair. Granted, everybody's perspective of each emotion's kind of different anyway.
Absolutely. And I also think that depending upon the culture that you live in and depending upon the values that you have, that's going to also play a huge role when it comes to those particular outlooks as well. And so it's even more of an important point to point out that just because one person does one thing, acts in one way, feels a certain way, doesn't mean that another person who may act, feel, and think in a similar way necessarily is going to be solved, or their problem's going to be solved and addressed in the same way. So, because their backgrounds may be completely different.
Fair. We're trying to speak in generality as much as possible, but there are, of course, exceptions depending on where you're coming from, what background you've got, what culture you're from, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. And assuming anyone wants to email the show or send in a question to us, I'd be happy to address it. If they want a specific response, I'd be happy to address it. I have done some research, especially earlier this year in cultural studies, and so I would say fairly well versed in being able to at least address some questions. So.
Sorry, I just looked at a comment about something we mentioned earlier about the whole you said the McDonald's?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They ended up Googling really quickly. McDonald's hamburger is apparently 250 calories, while a salad, which is their lowest calorie salad, is still 230.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the thing too, like that depends, it's region to region, right? So like if you're on the west coast of the United States, the calorie information is going to be completely different on the east coast of the United States. because the distributors are different. So there's different supply chains, and depending upon how they store their stuff, it actually changes the calorie value. Because like if they're storing it, say in sugar water, then that sugar is going to seep in, and and because of the Federal Drug and Food Administration, they have to actually state the actual calories that are represented in their food. Otherwise, they can get fined and whatnot. So yeah. Also, don't ever have their milkshake, or not milkshake, shake, or their French fries. It's horrible. Their milkshake is not milkshake. It's not milk at all. It's clay.
What?
Yeah, it's clay. Like their emulsifier is clay. It's not milk. It's clay. Yeah, seriously. Like Yeah, it's a real thing. And also their French fries can be stored up to 4 years before they're ever delivered and served. So.
That's.
Yeah, that's the reason why I don't eat French fries. I mean, honestly, like outside of McDonald's breakfast, because I love a good sausage, egg, and muffin. Like outside of their breakfast, I don't touch McDonald's with like a 10-foot stick. And even then, it's like once in a blue moon do I go to McDonald's. Like I've had McDonald's once in like a year. It's like, no.
I cannot find the whole they use clay as an emulsifier here.
Yeah, it's something I learned when I was taking a chemistry class a couple years ago. Yeah, you have to look it up. If anyone cares, like I'll present the information in Saturday's episode at the beginning.
Okay. All right. Before we move on to the next question, we did have that Tumblr post that I thought would work well for this one.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Let's see. And let's see. So the original poster is. Well, let me go ahead and move this because the screen's not big enough for this. It's by MC Boy Content. Hearing the John Mulaney "Do my friends hate me or do I just need to go to sleep" bit is the best thing to have ever happened for my mental health, because every time I'm afraid my friends hate me, it's around the time I should be going the fuck to sleep. And then the follow-up comment's great. I read somewhere, if you feel like everyone hates you, you need to sleep. And if you feel like you hate everyone else, you need to eat. And it was honestly world-shattering, and I wish I'd heard it years ago. To be honest, fair same.
Hangry.
Hangry. Very hangry.
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 Although I don't know what the word is for, like, if everyone, if you feel like everyone hates you, you need to go to sleep. I don't know what that is called. Like, I mean, is that like some sort of mix with like hate and fatigue? Like Haig.
Fatigue.
Hatigue.
Anyway, back to the bear while we go.
Okay. All right. I love this bear. This bear is great. I want a bear.
Let me go ahead and move the question here so you can keep the bear.
Yeah. Keep that bear going.
So we looked into how mental attitudes affect health and their opinion of their lifestyle. What about the opposite? Like, how does one's habits and actions in regards to their health affect their attitudes?
Okay, well, I think it all boils down to temperament.
Okay.
At the end of the day, I think that typically speaking, if you have good habits, and those habits lead to a healthy lifestyle, then your temperament or attitude is likely to come from a positive frame of reference. I mean, I think that a person who's healthy is going to come from any problem with a greater level of energy. So, like, let's say the person is in a board meeting, right? And they're presenting a new idea. Let's say that for the sake of the analogy, this person is in marketing. And they come to a board meeting and they're like, all right, we're going to be selling toothpaste today. Here's our idea of toothpaste. That's not an enthusiastic individual. That's not a person.
That makes me want to sleep.
Yeah, I mean, you're boring, right? I mean, no one cares about what you're trying to sell. But if you come to the meeting, you're like, hey, we're going to talk about toothpaste today. How do you like this?
Jesus.
It's got colors. It's got popping. Hey, everybody, this is what we're selling. I mean, you may not like it, but, like, you're probably going to be like, okay, I'm not paying attention to this lunatic. Like,
sorry, that reminds me of a Tumblr post about, like, somebody made their version of a bra commercial, and it was hilarious.
I'm like curious, but like not in a creepy way.
I'll show you later. I'll show you later. If people are interested, we could potentially look at that.
Okay.
Host, no.
What's host say?
You know the whole fatigue plus hate thing? We were going with fatigue because it's like, it's not an actual word.
Sure, yeah.
They went fate. So fatigue plus hate is equal to fate. And I'm like, no! It's clever, but at the same time, that's a word.
Yeah, it's already a word. We can't already take a word. But I like where you're going with this. Keep at it.
I like it, though.
Keep at it. All right, so what's your thoughts?
It's definitely, like you mentioned, if they've got the attitude and whatnot, if they've got that good English, I can do this. No, I can't.
Sure you can. Just try.
If you've got decent habits and actions in regards to your health, it's definitely going to affect your attitude. Like, if you don't feel healthy, or if you feel worse or something, that might reflect itself in your attitude. Like, I've been tired. Like, I have been absolutely tired, and apparently it came off this when I was in a call with somebody, and they ended up calling my boss, wanting me to apologize for me having a bad day. It's like, I understood it, and I apologized, but at the same time, it's just like, well, alright then. So, it's just like, if you're feeling healthy, if you're feeling good, you're going to be pumped up, you're going to be excited, you're going to be... I nearly hit myself.
Don't beat yourself up for this.
No. So it's like you're gonna feel excited, you're gonna feel invigorated, you're gonna feel on top of the world, and that's gonna show itself. Hyperly in my case.
We're all
So-
hyper.
It's not much of an opinion, but it's an opinion.
I think it's fair enough. Anyone in the chat, if anyone cares, you guys want to chime in a little bit, go for it. And if you're watching this in the future, leave a comment. And if you want to, actually leave a comment about any of the questions if you care. We'd love to hear from you. And if your question is interesting, I mean, like, or not just a comment, but like an actual question, we'll respond.
Yeah, send them in.
Yeah.
We can take a look at it for future episodes, whether that be a content episode or a at night live stream. English, come on. You can do this.
Yes, that's right. You can do this. Just focus. Focus on the hand as it moves. You can do this. Yes. Yes.
Alright, we're about 50 minutes in. Did you still want to do the article, or did you just want to do questions?
Oh my.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is why I said that. This is why I was wondering about the questions earlier when we were setting it up.
I see. Let's go. Let's finish the questions. I think that could be cool.
Okay. Let's see. Next one doesn't come with a picture. Next one is with a video.
So bye bear. Bye bear. Bye bear.
Bear.
Bye bear.
Bye bear. Bye question number 5. So did you want to play the video first, or did you want to do the question first?
Let's play the video.
Sure. Let me go ahead and pop. So this is Have a Blast with This Family Fun Cardio Workout by Pop Sugar Fitness. It's pretty cute.
Also pause the thing.
Okay. Oh yeah, the cappuccino.
Yeah.
Cappuccino. Did I have sugar today? I don't think I did. Okay.
Everyone, be careful. Be careful. Water down your coffees. Sugar is a danger.
Alright.
Winner. All right, so our first challenge is gonna be a balance challenge. We're gonna stand on one foot and we're gonna hold that position for 30 seconds. The winner gets to pick the family activity on Sunday. Good, so hold it there. Try not to let your other foot touch. Oh, keep your foot off there.
That's pretty darn adorable.
It is really cute.
Alright, now, to figure out why we put it with this question here. Oh, you know what? Since we're done with the video, we can keep the bear.
Nah, let's ditch the bear.
Okay.
We'll ditch the bear for now.
Bye-bye.
I said bye to bear, I meant it.
Okay.
Also, there's a red box in the way. I'm not sure.
No, yeah, that won't show up on the live stream.
Okay.
It's only for us.
Cool.
You're good.
Alright then. So, what's the question?
Are there specific exercises that promote good mental health?
Yes.
So, the reason I ended up choosing that clip is because of the whole, yeah, it's an exercise, but the instructor in charge made it a challenge to make it fun, as in the winner gets to choose what their family gets to do on Sunday.
Yeah, that's the whole family all doing this challenge. It's great.
This little fun cardio. It's kind of adorable, but it's also a good way to promote, well, for me, it's a good way to promote friendly competition, at least. Something that, yeah, it's good for you, and it leads to something that has a fun connotation type of thing.
Yeah, that seems like I would agree with that. Yeah, I mean, honestly, humans are animals in some ways, if you think about it. Like, we're very closely connected to the apes. And the thing that's pretty obvious about most people who are, I would say fairly balanced in temperament, enjoy play. They enjoy some sort of game aspect to things that they do in their life. And because of this, I think that if you can make any exercise a game, then it makes it a greater chance, I would say, of having a good, healthy approach to it, which means that it's going to have the positive outcome of boosting your overall mental health, because you're creating a positive association with an action, and that action is going to be expressed multiple times throughout your day based on how you feel about it. So if you enjoyed this particular exercise and you're feeling great about it, both before you do it and after, then every single thing that you do throughout that day is going to be touched by that positive experience. So I think that, yeah, absolutely. And if you can connect something like a game to an exercise, go for it. I mean, one of my favorite things in the world is to go swimming. And before I go swimming, I always do like 15 to 20 minutes of running in the pool, which is a great form of exercise.
Waddle.
But it does two things at the same time that are really great. It combines something I love and it combines an exercise. And so I get that positive reinforcement of being able to do something I enjoy while also making it good for me.
Sorry, the whole running in a pool just reminds me of a duck, you know, when they're like, be calm on top of the water, but you look under the water, kick. You're adorable, but gosh, if you have food in your hand. Alright.
You got a sandwich near a duck, you're like, it's over, folks.
It is a wonderful day in the park, and you are a terrible, terrible goose.
It's a wonderful day in the park until goose!
Alright. But yeah, just attaching exercise to something fun, a fun connotation, whether it's a friendly competition, a joke, or even sometimes a dare among friends.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I also know people, like couples, that like to go do like exercises as a couple, which can help them do kind of like coupling, like building activities, but at the same time, you're also promoting positive, aspects of your health, as well as certain elements that are involved in, oh my gosh. What the heck? Sorry, you can't do that to me right now. I had a good thing going. I was with a whole episode that would be distracted by the chat. God damn it.
Had to break it.
You damn it. All right. Well, as I was trying to say, that there are couples that do exercises together that promote good health, and they also feed into assisting their relationship and giving them both a sense of accomplishment and a good place to grow. And in some ways, it also creates accountability, which just kind of touches on some other stuff. So I think that's kind of cool. So, all right, go to the comment that distracted me. I want to read this. I want to read this.
It's a good one.
Okay.
We've got from Kyle. I love listening to horror stories while exercising. Raises my heart rate without having to do extra work. I can see that, but at the same time I question why. But that's probably because I'm heavily biased because I absolutely despise horror.
Yeah. Okay, so, Kyle, are you a huge fan of horror stories? Like, a huge fan? Like, you get kind of like are terrified at the same time. There's a moth on the light bulb.
Huh?
There's a moth on the light bulb. Yeah, no, that's a thing.
Alright. Do we want to move on to the next question?
Yes.
Alright, this one also comes with a small video that you enjoyed, mostly because of the two involved.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright, oh yeah, here we go. Cut the cappuccino.
Cappuccino. Say goodbye for now.
I'm going to be commenting during this, just so you guys know.
Fair.
Alright, here we go. It's a full-on brawl. I mean, clearly, they're fighting. Look at this. This mouth's open. It's like, nah. He's like, nah, you ain't gonna get me. I'm a black bear. You're like, nah, you didn't even touch this brown bear yet. Like, I guess it's like a nibble on you.
No.
Yeah, you just get messed up. Yeah, no, you can't take this. Look at this. You ain't got nothing on me. That's right.
And they're done.
Like, I'm gonna breathe heavy. I'm gonna breathe heavy. Like, you ain't got nothing. You ain't nothing, brown bear. You ain't nothing. And he's just like, really? Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Yeah, he ain't nothing. He ain't nothing. And he's like, I want some more, you bastard. You ain't getting nothing on this. I'm number one. Yeah, I'm number one. Look at that. Yeah, no, you ain't number one.
We good?
Yeah, we're good. Alright, this is just like the laziest fight you've ever seen.
Yeah, it's just like we both questioned when I first pulled this up to you. We both questioned, was that actually a fight or was that just play?
I'm gonna go with its play, just from like when I studied animal behavior. It's play,
That's
but
fair.
but I will say that it's hilarious and also awesome, and I love bears, so it had to come on there.
I just took a look at the preview. I ended it on a pretty decent frame.
Okay,
Alright,
cool.
time for the question 7.
Yeah.
How does Western culture compare to other cultures in regards to mental well-being, health, and exercise?
Okay. All right. So for starters, I'm gonna ask, what are your thoughts on this particular question?
To be fair, I don't remember the last time I took any sort of cultural studies course, so I'm not that informed about the subject. I just know that it is different depending on the regions and the demographics.
I see.
So imagining like the problems that we find problems are either they are problems in other cultures or they're not considered as highly prioritized as we do, and vice versa. Like in other cultures, there are probably some problems that they focus on more than we do, and in our culture, there are probably those. So like countries A versus B. There's problem 1 and there's problem 2. Problem 1 might be more important in country A, but not as, or culture A, but not as important in culture B, and vice versa. That type of thing.
I see. Well, in my experience, what I would say is that Western culture has an emphasis on physical beauty. And that physical beauty is not necessarily the same everywhere else. I think there are lots of cultures that think that health and exercise and mental well-being to some extent are all part of health and are very important to that society, but it isn't treated with the same level of outward intent. Like the glorified gym, for instance, isn't necessarily a worldwide thing, because let's face it, how many gyms you think there are in the savannah? You know, I mean, I'm not saying that there aren't, because there definitely are, but I think that it's a case-by-case basis, and I think that when it comes to discussing various parts of the world, you have to understand that the values of each culture are going to be pretty diverse. I don't think that it's fair to say that the way in which we prioritize going to the gym and having a very specific shape is necessarily equal to what is desirable in every part of the world. I think there are some parts of the world that do and some parts that don't. I think a great example of this is Japan. In Japan, it's a very common practice that at the beginning of any workday, everyone basically works out together. You get the situation where people are doing like jumping jacks and push-ups and various stretches right before they go to work. Now, I don't know about you, but I have never been at a place of employment in the United States where I had to do jumping jacks before I began my shift. But, that's because in Japan, I think it's recognized that, that kind of exercise can be helpful. And I think that our particular basis is that instead of it being a priority for the culture, it's a priority for the self. And so I think that's really where the difference between the cultures, Western culture versus other parts of the world, come down to, is that for us, it's about ourselves, and for a lot of other parts of the world, it's about the group.
Fair.
Yeah.
We don't have any questions in the chat. Host, why?
What?
Host, when you asked Kyle about whether or not he likes horror stories, it wasn't Kyle who answered, but Host who answered.
Okay.
They like an immersive horror story. The monster starts chasing, they get louder the closer they get.
So is this person basically on their iPod running, like, on the side of the road or like on a trail, and they start having a horror scene play out in their ear, and so it causes them to run even faster. Is that the general thing? Because that's terrifying. That's actually scary to me. Like, I'm like, I do not want to be like, all right, we're running, okay, all right, we're doing this, and then all of a sudden I start hearing like some, like, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street or like Friday the 13th bullshit, like, you know, oh shit, here we go. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, I want to be like, all right, we're enjoying the trail.
I have absolutely terrified myself by just listening to a video, and then I have my door closed, it's nighttime, it's a jump scare knock in the middle of the video, just knock, 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 bang, bang, bang.
Oh shit.
Jumped in my chair and cowered like a freaking baby.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely did that before as well. Like, I remember being really into UFOs when I was like a late teenager, and I remember like watching like all the creepy like UFO stuff, and I remember being like very like at night, like I turned the light off and like everything off, and I'm like, I have like this window like right above my bed that was like coming directly like down in the room, and it was like the moon would be up, and then there would be like this like shadowy kind of movement because like there's trees and like there's like raccoons and like cats and shit on the outside, and it would just creep me the hell out. I'd be like, oh god. Oh no, the aliens are coming! The aliens are coming! Kind of like scary kind of like thing. So, I don't know. I'm a ridiculous fool sometimes.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all?
We all have those moments.
Shall we move on to the next one?
Yes.
Alright. What are the common missteps that occur during a recovery process in regards to fitness and mental health?
Okay. So, I hate saying this again because I feel like I've said this every time practically, but it's so true for so many of these questions. It depends on the person.
Yeah. And
depends upon the background. But for this particular question, let's make the assumption that they come from the Western culture, you know, somewhere in Europe and somewhere in America, for the most part, and let's take a look at the actual, break this down. All right. So number one, most common misstep when it comes to fitness and mental health has to typically do with diet. And usually it's not because the person doesn't want to eat a healthy food, it's because the person's had a rough day and is exhausted and doesn't want to do the thing necessary to get the healthy food. So they go, okay, one time I'm going to cheat an additional day. I don't want to sacrifice my cheat day today, but I don't feel like I have the energy to do what I need to do. So I'm going to cheat now, and it's not going to be a big deal. And then pretty soon, they just cheat all week. And then so, like, it kind of defeats the purpose of the diet at that point, because they've allowed their cravings and, you know, their circumstance to overcome their willpower. I think that's probably pretty common when it comes to the fitness element, and I think it has to do to some extent with mental health, because it means that the internal fortitude of the particular thing isn't quite as strong as it probably needs to be. I think another common thing that can happen, particularly on the mental health element side of it, has to do with perhaps a person comes across a traumatic event. You know, an unexpected trauma appears. You know, maybe a beloved item is destroyed, a loved one passes, unfortunately, you know, or maybe they're in a relationship and it ends. These things can be very traumatic and very disruptive to the way in which a person conducts themselves and their overall life. And when that particular thing happens, it can affect everything from their mood to their desires and can disrupt goals. And so I think that's also an equally common occurrence that happens during a recovery process. Because at the end of the day, no matter what anyone says, we're all constantly growing and changing because we're all alive. And every day is a new day, and every situation you're run into is more or less a new situation. Whether it's the same situation that you had yesterday, but it's just new today because of some minor difference, it's technically new. And so the challenges that happen, all of those things can all be interrupted at any time with one of those types of events. What about you when it comes to this? Do you think that there's other things that perhaps I haven't mentioned that are equally valid?
Potentially the thought that while you're recovering, it's not going as smoothly as one would think. Like, I've heard secondhand accounts of people when they are recovering and they're trying to get back to, quote, to their normal before whatever happened.
Mm-hmm.
Say, car accident or some type of accident or something.
Sure.
And they're trying to get back to what they were before the accident, and it's not going as fast as they'd hope. Sometimes they can be downtrodden, so they don't work as hard. It's a case-by-case thing, but that could be one thing.
Sure.
It's one of those things where I mentioned before, it's not going to change overnight. It's going to take time. Don't push yourself too hard, but don't expect it to be fixed immediately type of thing.
Yeah.
But again, it's just a case-by-case thing, because a number of people do understand that and they just keep working, or in fact it might actually make them try harder.
Yeah, that's a good point. I definitely didn't mention that, and that's something that I think is very important as well. Yeah. Was there anything else other than that particular one that you think that could be added?
Not off the top of my head, but I could revisit that in like comments, or like if people ask us about it.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
For sure, yeah. If anyone has any comments, let us know.
Yeah, send it to us on email, or even when the live stream's done, post a comment there and we'll check it out.
Yeah, definitely.
And on Twitter.
Yeah, can't forget that Twitter.
Can't forget the twits.
Okay. So what do we got for the next question?
Yeah. Sorry, my immediate thought was tweet.
Tweet. I just think of yellow bird whenever I think of twit. And it's like, I don't know why, I can't help.
Alright. The next one also comes with a video. This one.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So this one's another workout video.
Okay. We sure like our workout videos.
They're entertaining to watch sometimes.
That's right.
And this one's actually kind of fun.
Oh yeah, I remember this one. This one's great.
This one,
This one's great.
Yeah, it's also by Pop Sugar Fitness. They just have a lot of fitness videos, and I mean, it's part of the name. I can see why.
Yeah. I mean, honestly.
But they actually look like fun.
Yeah, honestly, I would encourage anybody to like check it out sometime. If you guys just like are like, I don't want to go to the gym because of evil spicy virus, but I want to work out and have a good fun time.
Yeah.
Throw a YouTube clip, a little YouTube video. That's 30 minutes long. I mean, it's actually quite entertaining. I mean, honestly, like, just so everyone knows, I'm doing this tomorrow. Like, I'm really doing this tomorrow.
And like we've done before, for any pictures or any links we use, it's going to be in the description after the live stream's over. So feel free to check it out after we're done. Alright, let me end the cappuccino. Okay. Here we go. They look just so happy with this.
Yeah, they're all smiling so great. You know what I think it is? I think some of them have never been in front of a camera before.
I don't know.
And so they have just like stuck in the perpetual Joker smile.
And then the energy that the instructor.
Yeah.
So good.
Although the instructor gets so low, it's kind of like there's no way I'm getting that low tomorrow.
2, other side, 4,
Look at that energy.
3,
Just like, okay.
2. Now we're gonna pump that chest.
Yeah.
Right here. Let's
Pump
go.
that chest.
Come on. Let me hear you, ladies. Pump it.
This looks like terribly too much fun.
Last one. Let's slow it down.
Yeah. Look how low she gets. Like, this is crazy.
How low can you go? Take it up.
Is the low?
And down.
Think about this though. Like you're moving like from like your whole body from like side to side while also going down. That's that's kind of challenging. You know what I'm saying? Like I already have this like impression that I'm gonna fall face first, like on my floor, and I'm gonna laugh. But like it's gonna happen.
Alright.
Also, those yellow pants. I mean, like, what the hell?
What's wrong with yellow pants?
There's nothing wrong with yellow pants. It's not that. It's just like... it's like, really, though? Like, yellow?
Alright, 9th question. The reason I wanted this YouTube clip is how much do family and community play into fitness and mental health? And the way she's interacting with her class is really good. And it just makes it more... Well, if I were in that class, I'd be more willing to do it, despite the fact that I'd probably be in pain and sore.
Well, Yeah, I think absolutely. I mean, this kind of touches on some of the questions we kind of did before about how
Yeah.
important family and community plays into being able to do certain things, like fitness goals, like having positive mental health outcomes. And
Yeah.
so, to me, I think absolutely. I think that, like, I think in this particular clip, it's the community element. I think it's playing more of a role than the family, just
Yeah.
because you're having that positive relation to having support from your family, and because of well, not from your family necessarily, but like from like your community, and so your family doesn't play so much of a big role as does the good feeling that you get from being surrounded by like-minded individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, if you're like, I know there are runner groups that exist that,
Oh yeah.
yeah, that they meet up and they go for like long runs, and part of what makes that particular thing so enjoyable is the community aspect of it. I remember taking a class a couple of years ago, and there was a person who was a runner in one of those types of groups, and actually found that the professor was also friends with someone in that particular running group. And it was kind of interesting to see that the dynamic and hear the stories that kind of happened from that. And it made me realize that, oh my goodness, this is such a great way to involve the community in such a healthy activity. And so I definitely think that those sorts of networks are critical when it comes to maintaining and balancing a regular routine. Because I think at the end of the day, a person can do something once on their own, no matter who they are. But can that person do that 100 times? I think they can, but I think a community and a family helps. So I think that is something to make sure that we all pay attention to and take notice of. And if we have family members that that are or people even in our community who aren't in our family immediately, who are having goals or having mental health struggles of some kind, that we should always do our best to support them and do what we can to help them. Because at the end of the day, it takes a village to do anything. At the end of the day, I really believe that. I don't think that a single individual can accomplish much. I think it takes many people working together in order for anyone to accomplish anything.
Mm-hmm. Fair. It's easier to do a large project with community versus, like, one person.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're not gonna, like, I mean, all right, not that you couldn't, okay, but like,
just to take longer.
yeah,
Might be harder.
I think it's gonna be a lot harder.
A lot harder depending on the project. Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine building a house on your own. Gosh.
Well, people do that.
I know people do that, and I'm very impressed with the people who are able to do that on their own. But, like, how?
Knowledge, patience, the willing to stab themselves in the foot multiple times with nails. I don't know. Acquiring steel toe boots and finding alternative uses for those boots, like turning them into hammers.
Hammers with your foot. Bam, bam, bam. Kick something into place.
Hey, also, building a house can be very cathartic for somebody, who has rage issues. Like,
Fair.
I mean, you could really just beat that house into submission.
Gosh. Alright, shall we go on to the next one?
Sure.
Okay, so the next one does come with a picture, but that picture has words, and I think it'd be better to have the question first before we get into the picture.
Okay.
Do people who find themselves in a dark place and get out become physically or mentally healthy? Why or why not? I think we've touched a bit on this before, but this is like where we could probably go into detail about it.
Well, I'd like to hear what you think about this first.
I think if you're in a dark place and you get out, it's not that you immediately become, like, quote, 100% physically and mentally healthy. It's just a step in the direction toward becoming physically or mentally healthy, depending on what dark place you were in and how you managed to get out. It's a matter of deciding that this is not where you should. It's kind of a matter of deciding this is not where you should be. You could be better in some way, shape, or form, and taking that step forward, and it's just a step to becoming healthier. But you're not automatically going to be 100% physically or mentally healthy, at least not in my opinion.
I see. Okay. All right. Well, here's what I think.
Yeah.
I think that individuals that find themselves in a dark place and actually get out typically have the ability to be physically and mentally healthy. And I think it's because it takes a lot of inner strength to pull yourself out of a place that's particularly dark. Even if you have a ton of support, it takes a lot to be able to do that. And typically when it comes to being mentally healthy and being physically healthy, those two things also require a lot of effort. And often I think that the effort that's required for both of those things is often the same. It comes from grit, which is why I mentioned that book earlier. Because I think that if you are a person that has been presented a series of challenges throughout your life, each one of those challenges prepared you for the next in some way or another, whether they were connected or they were just completely different issues. You learned to become stronger based upon whatever thing you did to solve the initial problem. And it kind of is like adding a series of tools to a toolbox. And so when you get into a dark place like this, if you have a big toolbox that has lots of different equipment that you could use, then you already have the ability to get out. But having learned the willpower to use those tools to get out shows that you have an inner fortitude that is greater than the obstacle that got you there in the first place, that got you in that dark place. So I think that by being able to identify that type of strength and being able to identify that type of problem and being able to actually create and solve for it, or at least address it in a way that lets you become more functional in society, it gives you all of the credence in the world to say that, okay, if I'm not physically healthy, I want to do that, I'm going to do that, and this is how I'm going to do that. And I think the same is also true when it comes to mental health. I mean, mental health is something that I think a lot of individuals don't necessarily think about too often. But I think mental health and physical health are equally important and equally hard. I think they represent two sides of the same coin. And too often do people like to just, put down the coin and just have it perpetually on heads where they're only focusing on one of the two things and not the other. And so a person who can get out of these dark places is someone who can flip that coin and actually get two different results.
Fair. Should I go ahead and pull up that picture I mentioned?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like the message for it, so I think it fits for this. For those who may or may not be in that dark place or may find themselves in such a dark place in the future. So let me get rid of that so I can put up this thing, no issue. Perfect, it does have the whole thing. This is, let me go ahead and get the person. This picture comes from a Recovery is Beautiful blog. And it's just their Halt picture, where it says, before engaging in any self-destructive behavior, ask yourself, are you A, hungry? When did you last eat? Is your hunger emotional, or does your body need food? If your body is asking for food, find something nutritious to snack on. Are you angry? What are you dealing with right now that is stressful? Is the stress what's making you angry? Find out why you're angry and find ways to diffuse that anger. I noticed that typo on the thing. Are you lonely? When is the last time you socialized? Was it a positive or negative experience? Reach out to your support system. Let them help you. Alright, this one has a couple of typos, but the overall message is sweet. I think. At least I consider it sweet.
I agree. I think it's sweet as well.
The last one. Are you tired? Yes, in my case. Have I been getting enough rest and giving my body the breaks it needs? How can you energize yourself? Take some time to yourself and relax. It's called playing Pokemon. And watching murder hobos in action, but that's another story.
Okay, murder hobos. Gotcha.
D&D, okay?
Yeah, oh, I know. I'm just, yeah.
Do you have any comments or short stories about any of this?
Well, I could say that if I had read something like this 10 years ago, it may have dramatically changed my life.
In a good way or a bad way?
I think in a good way. I think like the hungry part, like that's something that's a self-reflection kind of thing that I can identify with. I also think the angry is something that I can identify with, and same thing with the lonely. The only one I can't really identify with is tired, and that's just because I'm weird. Like, I only sleep for like 3 hours, maybe 4, like in a day. Like, and that's just how I've always been. So it's like,
like a friend of mine, I think it was Ashley that I mentioned before.
Oh, you mean somebody else?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
What?
Your friend?
Ashley, yeah.
Yeah. What about her?
No, it's just the whole tired thing where she'll only like sleep 3 to 4 hours a day, and that's completely normal for her.
Oh, okay. Oh, hey. I mean, there are some people out there, like myself and like your friend Ashley, that function pretty well that way. I know that there are several people I know who hate my guts because of that. But I'm like, hey, well, I get twice the time. Huh?
The amount of extra time you have to just get stuff done.
Yeah, people actually don't recognize that more time is not a good thing, but a burden.
Fair. I think I got my first job because I had way too much free time and I was getting bored to the point of I didn't want to move.
Yeah, honestly, like, I've now gotten to the point where I've read my entire library, and I'm now actively actively searching for more books to read because I spend like 8 or 9 hours reading.
You've got 2.5 full bookshelves. The heck?
I read them all.
What?
I read them all.
Dude. Fine.
No, seriously, like I go through like a book, like each one of those books like took me roughly about 3 to 4 days to get through. Just do the math. Like think about how many books are on that bookcase, and then think about like how many days I've been there since like it's been there for like about a year and a half.
Goodness.
So yeah, I mean like if you just do the math, like come on now. Of all people, do the math. Truthfully speaking, I actually do have a new book though. Like I have one new book that I intend to read.
Okay.
Like I've only read like the first like 10 pages of this, and like
Savage Messiah?
Yeah, Savage Messiah by it's
Jordan Peterson?
No, it's about Jordan Peterson.
Oh. Oh, it's by Jim Prosser.
Yeah.
Prosser?
Yeah, I actually very much like Jordan Peterson. I really think that his viewpoints are probably the single most accurate viewpoints I've seen come from a psychologist in the last 20 years.
Interesting.
Yeah, so like I think that he's an interesting individual, and someday, I mean, I would love to meet the person, but I seriously doubt that I will. But it would be nice to know the individual.
Huh. All right, host. You've got a friend who read 5 books in like 4 days. Okay then.
How long were these books?
That's also a fair point.
Yeah, because like I have some books that are like 200 pages, and like that's an evening.
That's an evening, and then you've got like remember that cute little picture book I showed you? That short thing that's adorable.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, that's like 5 minutes because it's a children's story.
Yeah, it took. I have a book called Grey's Anatomy, and it's not based off of like the TV show. It's an old book, medical kind of like book that goes over the human anatomy, and I'm weird like that. I'm curious about things, and that book was the book that took me the longest to actually read. That took me like a week and like a half roughly to read through the whole thing. It was a while.
Yeah, I did see that on your bookshelf, and I was wondering, it's just like, is that based off of the show? Is that
No, it's medical. But now I understand how the human body works at a much better level than any biology course that I've ever taken.
Host says it was the Alex Rider series. At least they think so.
Okay, I have no idea what that is, but like, does he know roughly how long those books are, page-wise? Are we talking like a Harry Potter book? Like, are we talking like a Sorcerer's Stone level, or are we talking like a Order of the Phoenix level writing?
Let's see. I looked up the Alex Rider series, and they're a group of. Oh, it's a series. It's a series of spy novels.
Spy novels. That's pretty cool. Host, I would like to know if they were good or not, because that might be my next read.
Yeah, there are apparently a couple of graphic novels.
Oh.
No, No. They're adapted as graphic novels.
Oh,
not
okay.
The are graphic novels.
Okay.
How many pages? Come on, tell me. Do I need to go onto Amazon for this?
No, we'll look later. We're spending too much time on this. Okay, enough time on this. We'll move on to the next thing.
I mean, it's already 10:29, so.
Yeah.
I don't. So let's see. Did we want to move on to question 11?
Yes.
Told you we had too many questions.
We do not have too many questions.
It's already 10:30.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey. Hey. Do people suffer physical problems due to mental impairment?
Yes. Yes, they do.
I mean, you're the one that wrote down this question, so.
Yes, they do. My answer to this is going to be so that way we can get to the next question. Yes, they do, for obvious reasons. If a person has, let's say, bipolar disorder, and that person one moment might act in one way and then act differently in another, and that person could get into a physical altercation with another person who doesn't understand that that particular person's actions aren't necessarily true of who they are, and as such they might get into a fight, break their jaw, or whatever that might be. So absolutely yes, people do definitely suffer physical problems due to mental impairment, and those physical problems could be lasting for a couple weeks, or it could last your whole life, depending on what happened exactly and what the context of the situation. What do you think?
I mean, I'd figure probably because, again, like you mentioned, depending on the mental impairment, it could cause them to get hurt just physically, whether because of themselves or because of other people's reactions to them.
I also can think of people who perhaps, are very much steeped in depression that might attempt suicide. If you attempt suicide and let's say you jump off a bridge and you live, but you crushed your leg, well, now you have a physical impairment pretty much for the rest of your life because of this particular action. And so, I mean, I definitely think that yes, this is something that happens, and it happens in a lot of different unfortunate ways.
Let's see. Next one.
Okay.
Can animals help promote physical health? Do they promote mental health?
Okay. So before I even answer this question, I think it's important that we show George.
Okay. Alright, let me get George. Let me get little Georgie for you.
George is adorable.
George. Okay. This might be
So
allowed.
before we play this thing, I just want to say, George, okay, might surprise you because he's a support animal, but he's a very unique support animal. So go ahead and play.
Yep.
Okay, George. There we go, buddy. Yes. Oh, Ryan's gonna be so happy with what you bought with his money. Oh, you betcha.
Oh my gosh, that is so loud.
The videos are loud, which is why I have to constantly lower myself because
Yes.
otherwise I'm gonna blow my own ears out.
Well, play it a little bit till at least when it gets to the aisle, because this is crazy. But also turn off the volume, mute the video.
Fair.
But just gotta see this duck, all right? Or goose. I mean, not
Goose.
duck, goose. Look at this. Okay, so it's a goose wearing a vest, one of those
Surface animal vests,
but it's a goose. And look how he's just following along. He's just walking along.
Behaved.
He's following.
Incredibly well behaved.
Yeah. Now I played the Angry Goose Game a little bit.
The Untitled Goose Game?
Yeah, the Untitled Goose Game. Angry Goose Game is what I call it though, because come on now, he's a vicious savage.
Look at this one.
You'd never imagine if you played that
That's what-
game, that goose could ever act this way. He's
That's sweet.
just walking
I don't
along.
know.
Yeah.
There's not even a leash from what I can tell.
No, there's no leash. He's just walking along. He's like, we're gonna go get some stuff.
Chilling.
We're getting some treats. And there's a guy who sees him and just kind of just goes, what the, kind of look. Guy totally stops and just this guy right here. Look at this. Watch this. This guy, you guys he's walking around. It's he was looking behind him, there's a goose. It looks like the guy stops and goes and he kind of pans over for a second. It's hilarious. All right. We're done with the video. Isn't George awesome though? George is cool.
Okay, this was question 12. Alright.
Okay, and then definitely we gotta show the buddy.
The buddy.
Yeah, because it also addresses question 12.
Okay. Bum ba da da. Ba da.
That's right. That's not photoshopped. That is the friendly, pet alligator.
Ollie.
That he
Yeah,
kisses.
emotional support gator.
And also apparently likes to have his head scratched.
Yeah, my reaction to it, just goodness.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's like, okay, all right. That's pretty nuts. Okay, so let's talk about question 12. What are your thoughts about it?
Definitely, absolutely. Just sometimes, okay, so for both, because like you've mentioned, they're intertwined. Depending on the support animal, like if somebody's in a mood and they decide to get a kitten, the kitten relies on them to, feed it, give it a home. So you get to focus on them rather than whatever's bringing you down, type of thing.
So it's a distraction.
It can be a distraction. You're taking care of a living creature other than yourself that will allow you to focus on them rather than whatever's dragging you down. And sometimes it'll actually cause you to decide to be healthier so that you can continue to take care of them sometimes. They can also be emotional support because as long as you take care of them well, they typically give you unconditional love. But conditional depending on the animal.
Odin,
But sometimes it's just fluffy. Okay, yeah, Odin's a little...
He's moody. He's moody.
Your cats can get very moody.
Yeah, my cat.
But for the most part, it's just like, you know that they're there. They can sometimes give you cuddles, especially when they're fluffy and adorable. You're like, Odin's not like this at all.
Odin's like, I own you. Like,
like a cat.
He treats my arm and leg like it's his personal property.
But yeah, I'd say for the most part, animals can help at least either be a distraction or encouragement. Like if you take a dog for a walk, as long as they're not a lazy dog.
Which we will get to in a minute. So question 12 will be the last question that we cover. But before we go, we're going to show you a video of something really funny, and also I'm going to say something after this question. But this will be the last question.
Okay.
Yeah. So my thoughts are obviously yes, that you can have animals, and they definitely can promote your physical health and also your mental health. Obviously, the physical health is dependent upon the animal. But more often than not, you're going to be required to do some physical activity. If you have a cat, right, you're buying the big giant bag of cat litter and you're hauling it into your home. Same thing with the food, so you're going to get that element. And then there's also the cleaning out the litter box, assuming that they have a litter box and they're not an outdoor cat, which honestly, depending on your area, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's not. I'm not going to judge. But I'm going to say that if you do have a cat, there's a good chance you probably also have cat litter, and you got to clean that thing out. Otherwise, ungodly smells. And so you got to get in there and you got to really. There's some effort that it has to do when it comes to the disposal of the cat litter thing. So I think that's the thing. That's something I personally experienced. But if you have a dog, then you got to take it on to walks and also keep after it and grooming a cat too, but more so with a dog. Yeah, there's a lot of physical elements to it, and so there's that bond that a lot of people have with their animals that help them mentally as well. And so I think that these kind of things together kind of promote just overall well-being just across the board for both things.
Yeah. As I'm setting up the video, we've got a comment from Kyle about this.
Okay.
Having a dog gets you walking. There is evidence that even occasional walking helps decrease hospitalizations. Dogs save lives. Don't know about geese. I mean, if it works, it works about the geese.
I mean, hey,
You seem to be very happy with George.
Yeah. George
Anyway,
is awesome.
Time to leave this off on a cute, funny, and oh my goodness note. We've got a dog who really doesn't want to go.
He likes his park time, and he is done with today.
This is lazy dog doesn't want to leave the park. Buy whip and go.
Yeah. Look at this dog.
It's Popper.
He's just like, I am so done. Like, he's getting tickled. He's like, I don't care. He's like,
Come on.
I'm gonna get up. I don't want to go. I'm done. Nope.
This just reminds me of a parent trying to, get their kid up for school.
Yeah, totally.
Fully dragging him around and whatnot.
The dog is 100% okay, by the way, because, like, look, he's playing around. But, like, when it's, like, time for him to go, like, he's like, I'm ready to go. He's got the stick. He's like, he wants the stick. He wants the stick, but he doesn't want to leave the park. He's like, I want this. Let me have it. Let me have it.
There's a comment in the comment section about how this dog is just not a golden retriever. It's just golden today.
Yeah, 100% golden. All right, no, kid, get out of the way. Like, you're a cute kid, but get out of the way. Go. I'll say, this dog. It's about the dog right now. Look at this. I'm just gonna drag you. He's like, nah, I'm not going anywhere. I don't want to go anywhere. Nope.
Oh.
Nope.
We've got a comment from Code Blue Ninja. Well, it's been known that they bring dogs to young cancer patients to bring up their mood.
Yes.
This doggy is just raising my serotonin. He's just a fluffy puppy.
He's so fluffy. He's just like, I love being at the park right now. I don't want to go.
This dog,
Don't make me go.
this dog just does not want to leave.
He's like, stick. I want a stick. I want a stick.
I want stick.
Give me the stick. Where's the stick at? Where's the stick? See, this just proves the dog 100% totally okay. And, like, he's just actively
And utterly fine. Just does not want to. Look at how long that leash goes.
Yeah, that's one of those long leash. It's a long leash.
Oh goodness! Oh, we've watched that video quite a bit.
All right. So we're gonna let go of the video. Before we go, I just want to say thank you guys for showing up and participating. I know it's a Wednesday. I know that you guys are all very busy, and I very much appreciate the support. It is really great to see you guys participating, being here. It's wonderful, and honestly, thank you so very much for everything. I would ask, if you aren't subscribed, please subscribe. If you liked what we did, hit the like button because it'll help us. And if you have any questions or would like to say anything to us, feel free to email us at wickedparley@gmail.com or hit us up on Twitter at @a_parlay. We'd love to get your feedback. We'd love to hear from you. And we hope that you have a great rest of your night. And we look forward to seeing you on Saturday. This has been Justin. Have a good day.
We bid you adieu.
Later.
Make sure to share with friends and family. I did not. There we go. Working on it.